So I'm going to show you how you can do your project by making a peanut butter sandwich. So I'm going to go ahead and make peanut butter sandwich. Now I would make your standard PB&J sandwich, but I don't like the jelly part of it, so I usually just make a peanut butter sandwich, and people call it crazy, but that's just what I like. Okay, so all digestion is going to start in your mouth, and let's think about what we're going to be digesting here. I have starch from my bread, sugars in the peanut butter, sugars in the bread, lots of protein and fats and oils in the peanut butter. Okay, so all digestion starts in the mouth. We're really going to start with mechanical digestion and maybe a little chemical digestion with the salivary amylase. So to simulate what that looks like in your mouth, we're going to use our teeth to digest my food. So I start with my incisors. They're going to sort of cut and chop through my food. Hopefully you chew your food before you eat it. So my scissors are representing my incisors, those cutting front teeth of your teeth, okay? And then of course you don't just bite a couple times and then swallow your food. You have to chew it and mash it. So I'm doing lots of mechanical digestion, right? Okay, so I also have molars, right? And then as I'm chewing my food, I also am releasing salivary amylase through my saliva. So I'm pouring some water in here / saliva. I'm using this hammer to really indicate that I'm chomping down with my molars. Okay. I'm going to be careful not to break this dish because it is glass and I don't want to break it. And so at this point, I have a wad of food that's going to be called a bolus. And it's going to move from my mouth, down my pharynx, through my esophagus, through peristalsis. And it's going to go through the cardiac sphincter, and it's going to move into my stomach, which is a J-shaped organ for storing and holding food for a few hours so that more digestion can happen. So this plastic bag is going to represent my stomach. It's going to go through my esophagus. Imagine that that's occurring, right? And I have my stomach full of food. Now, remember, your stomach is going to be very acidic, and it's going to release some gastric juices. And so we're going to use this Coca-Cola, ooh, that's good, as an indication of our gastric juices. Oops, you can't see, there we go. Now, you've probably done an experiment or seen the science fairs about how Coke rots your teeth, partially because of sugar, but also because it is so acidic. So let's think about what's happening in your stomach. In your stomach, you have mechanical digestion because there's lots of churning and moving and squishing of the food, right? You also have chemical digestion, in which you have an acidic environment, which is going to break down food, but that acidic environment also activates pepsinogen to become pepsin, so that you can start digestion, chemical digestion of protein. So that will be required for our peanut butter in our peanut butter sandwich, right? Because peanuts have protein in them. So this is going to occur for about 4 hours. You're going to churn and churn and churn. And your stomach is not doing any absorption of nutrients. In fact, the only things that can be absorbed in your stomach are things like drugs and alcohol. So when you take an Advil, it doesn't take 12 hours to kick in because it gets absorbed in your stomach. Same thing with drinking alcohol. So we know that our stomach is not going to release this food before it's ready. because it has a gate called the pyloric sphincter. Okay, so we have a gate here that's closed that's going to prevent the food from moving through. Okay, now let's say it's ready, it's been a few hours, and we are ready to move this food through. Let me make sure it's really churned through here. Okay, I'm going to put this down just so I don't make the biggest mess in the world. Okay, and we have very little absorption, but lots of chemical and mechanical digestion happening here. So the next stop is the small intestines. The small intestines are going to do most of the absorption and a lot more digestion. And let me see my small intestine. So these are pantyhose, and they are going to be very absorbent. So my pyloric sphincter opens up, and we're gonna do that like so. So let me actually open the pyloric sphincter, okay? And that's going to go into my small intestines. Now, with the help from the pancreas secreting lots of enzymes like lipases and proteases that are going to help digest fats and proteins, I'm going to continue to further break down all of this food. Now, as you can see, I have nutrients being absorbed through the very absorbent wall of the small intestine. Okay, and so there's also movement, peristalsis, like I said, squeezing through the toothpaste tube, contractions of smooth muscles. Okay, and then there's absorption of nutrients that are going from your small intestine to a network of blood vessels to your liver to get detoxified and then sent to your, the rest of your body. And then we also have enzymes and bile being sent from the gallbladder to the small intestine to help break down and emulsify fats, which are also inside this protein or inside this peanut butter sandwich. Okay, so after it spends a few hours there, it's going to move on to your large intestine, also known as your colon. It's going to be pushed through the iliac sphincter, okay? And it is ileocecal sphincter, and it is going to enter into your colon, ascending, transverse, descending colon, and eventually out. And so to show what happens in your large intestine, we're going to move all that food down towards the end. And we're going to use a paper towel because the large intestine, what's happening mostly in the large intestine is that we're doing mostly water absorption, reabsorbing water from the food that you have yet to digest or have been unable to digest. I'm going to use more paper towels. Hopefully they'll have them in stock when I need to buy them again. Okay, so at this point we have the large intestine absorbing all of the water. If you rush this stuff through the large intestine, then you're going to have something like akin to diarrhea. At this point, so before when it left the stomach, it was considered chyme. Now at this point in the large intestine, it's going to be considered feces, and eventually it's going to be released out the other end through the rectum and anus. Now, at this point here, we have lots of absorption of water, obviously, but we also have some absorption of vitamins, a few vitamins, and some leftover bacteria that will digest some stuff that you haven't been able to digest. That's what causes those gas bubbles as they create their own waste from your digestion product. Now, of course, at the end, we are going to have to get rid of everything. Remember, this is a simulation. This is just a crushed up peanut butter sandwich. And all of that stuff that you don't digest is going to be, released, and you need to get rid of it. And then if you absorb just enough water, then you'll be okay. Too much water is a problem. Not enough water is a problem. So, you know, there we go, your end result. I usually do this in class as a fun demonstration, but here I am at home chopping up a peanut butter sandwich and talking about how it goes through your digestive system. Good luck with your project. Let me know if you need any help.